Hey guys, welcome once again to the Layman's Lounge, and it's time once again to look at the Christian denominations that are across Protestant, and we may cover beyond Protestant denominations as well, and getting into Catholicism and Orthodox possibly too. But today we're going to look at the history of the Baptist churches and how they came to be. Again, I will be getting this history from a book called The Complete Guide to Christian Denominations, Understanding the History, Beliefs, and Differences by Ron Rhodes. A little plug for that book. Great book. I encourage you to check that out if you're interested. But let's look at the Baptist churches. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is that Baptist scholars are not in agreement, really, regarding the Baptist origins. And there are three basic theories, and this is what Ron discusses. Number one, the Jerusalem-Jordan-John theory. This view, which is common among landmark Baptists, says that Baptists have existed ever since the days of John the Baptist's ministry, along the Jordan River in the 1st century. If this theory is correct, then the Baptist Church long predates the emergence of Protestantism. The problem with this theory is that it lacks convincing historical support. So certainly there are some similarities between the beliefs of Baptists and the 1st century church, but this does not prove a direct line of descent. The second theory is the Anabaptist spiritual kingship theory, and this theory seeks to trace a spiritual relationship from the long line of Anabaptist sects, which includes the German, the Dutch, and the Swiss Anabaptists, and the Waldensians, and the Petrobrusians, the Henricians, the Novatians, and the Donatists, to modern-day Baptists. Now, Anabaptists are so named because they required that those who were baptized as infants be rebaptized as adults following a profession of faith. The problem with this theory is that Baptists have long disagreed with key theological positions held by the Anabaptists. Baptist scholar Robert Torbit observes that Baptists have not shared with Anabaptists the latter's aversion to oath-taking and holding public office. Neither have they adopted the Anabaptist doctrine of pacifism, or their theological views concerning the incarnation, soul sleeping, and the necessity of observing an apostolic succession in the administration of baptism. So such factors make a direct lineage from the Anabaptists to the Baptists unlikely. The third theory is the English separatist descent theory, and according to this view, the Baptists emerged out of certain 17th century English separatists who had a congregational polity, believed the church should be made up of only a regenerate membership, and considered believers' adult baptism alone as valid according to the Scriptures. So the theology of the early Baptists supports this third theory. Now, John Smith, and that's Smith spelled with a S-M-Y-T-H, from 1570 to 1612, founded the First Baptist Church on English soil in 1611, which was the same year the King James Version was produced. These First Baptists were Arminian in their theology, which emphasizes that Christ died for all people and that salvation was possible for all. These early Baptists were appropriately called General Baptists. Salvation was generally available to all people. Later, in the 1630s, particular Baptist churches emerged in England, teaching that Christ died only for the elect, and salvation was not possible for all people. Salvation was limited to particular individuals. So this viewpoint, which is called limited atonement, is associated with the teachings of John Calvin. From 1509 to 1564 is when Calvin was around. Now, theological controversy between Calvinism and Arminianism has continued to the present day, and that is certainly true. The earliest Baptist churches on American soil were founded by Roger Williams from Providence, Rhode Island, 1639, and John Clark from Newport, Rhode Island, 1648. By the 1680s, the Baptists had infiltrated the Middle Colonies, and in 1714, the First Baptist Church was founded in the South. As was true in England, these First Baptist churches in America were Arminian in theology, and they believed people were given a free will by God, so they could freely choose for or against the gospel, as opposed to the strict predestination view of Calvinists. Now, with the passing of time through the 1700s and after, the Baptists experienced tremendous growth, and by the time of the American Revolution, they were the third largest grouping of denominations in the colonies. Their growth was largely the result of their appeal to the poor and lower classes of people. Presently, Baptists are the second largest Christian family in the United States, second only to Roman Catholicism, which makes the Baptist the largest Protestant denomination in Christendom. So, very interesting there. And comment below what you think of the Baptist Church. Are you a Baptist? And just tell me about your experience with that church. As I read, nowadays you have some Baptist churches that lean more towards the Calvinistic side, but a lot of their origins stem more from an Arminian side. Personally, I don't identify myself with either a Calvinist or an Arminian side, although if I had to, I would probably say I'm somewhere in the middle, but there are more aspects of Arminian theology that I'd be in agreement with than Calvinism. But that is me. The most important thing in that debate is to read the Bible for yourself. Check out the scriptures and see where your view lies on that based on what the Bible has to say. Okay, as always with the Christian denominations, if you'd like me to tell you about some more specific Baptist types of churches, I'd be happy to do that as well. And please subscribe.